is my absolute hero of a recipe. This is the Chestnut En Croute, and I absolutely swear by this. It will see you through the whole of winter, and it's instead of a salmon en croute if you're keen to avoid the fish, although you can use salmon if you want to. And really, it's in place of the beef Wellington, and I promise you, it tastes just as good. So what we've got going into it are all these really great ingredients, each one that's been selected specifically because it helps with fertility. And it's just generally really good for you. So I think you may all realize how obsessed I am with the humble onion and garlic. I just think they are totally underrated, but have a whole range of really beneficial ingredients. So they're not just antibacterial or antiseptic, but in addition, they've got sulfur-containing compounds that can help the liver to detox all of the baddies inside the body, waste products such as excessive hormones. So really important. Then we've got nuts. So I've got a whole mixture of nuts here. You can select any nuts that you like, but I like the mixed version going in here, and that's going to give that lovely nuttiness, which is in place of your meat essentially. And that contains loads of good protein and also really good fats that you want to be munching on if you're wanting to get pregnant. Then we've got the humble celery. So celery is really good because it contains aldosterone, which is a compound that's helped to make testosterone. So really important for the men out there in terms of sperm production. And then we've got another hero ingredient, which is the mushroom. So again, that's going to add the meatiness to our substance and to the filling that we're going to do here. The mushroom is really great. It's been hailed as a superfood recently, and that's because it's got lots of vitamin D and selenium. Both of these are important in particular for sperm production. But in addition, the mushroom is thought to be anti-carcinogenic, so help to protect you from cancer. So really good one to have. And then my absolute favorite, the chestnut. So this is about as seasonal as you can get. So I've got whole cooked, pre-prepared chestnuts here. Of course, you can roast them in the oven, which is extra Christmassy, but we just didn't have time to do that today. But they are super delicious and have a whole range of benefits. So why are they so good? First of all, they have a low fat content. So that's awesome because you can eat quite a lot of them and it won't do you any harm. In fact, it'll be of benefit. The other reason is that they contain folate. So folate is important for the baby in particular because it helps protect against neural tube defects. It's also got some vitamin D in there and also enzymes which can help when it comes to fertilization of the egg. So the whole fertilization process that the sperm has to complete. So super duper yummy, really good to have. Contain more carbs than they do protein, but they're the good carbs to have. And again, we'll add that meatiness to the actual mixture combined with the nuts and with the mushrooms. I'm also going to be using some tomato puree. Try and use organic where you can. The same applies for all of these ingredients because you want to make sure that you're not ingesting any pesticides or additives that have been added in order to preserve the food for longer. And then you want some dried oregano and dried thyme. And then finally, you want some puff pastry sheets. I wish I could say I'd pre-prepared them, but I hadn't. If you want the cheats way out, the lazy way out, then just buy them. But of course, you can make your own pastry as well if you're feeling extra good. And if you are, I'm incredibly jealous, but I don't think I'll ever quite get there. So that's all now ready to blitz together, and I'll show you how to make it. Okay, so we're going to blitz the chestnuts and the mixed nut mixture together now. So you can use a NutriBullet or a coffee grinder or whatever processor you have. If you are using a NutriBullet or coffee grinder that's quite small, you may need to do it in smaller batches. So just take half the chestnuts and then half the nuts and do it in 2 batches or even 3, it doesn't matter. What you want to end up with is almost like this paste. I don't know if you can see that, but it doesn't look too appetizing at the moment, but trust me, it's going to be super yummy if this comes off. There we go. So I'm just going to add the oil. I'm using macadamia nut oil here because that's super healthy for you, but you can use another oil of your choice. Another good one to go for would be olive oil. And then we're going to saute the onions and garlic. So you want 1 large onion and 2 cloves of garlic, finely chopped. Once the onions are nice and soft, then add in 1 chopped celery stalk and 140 grams of sliced mushrooms. And whisk that all around in a saucepan. and wait for the vegetables to soften nicely, in particular the mushrooms and celery. Add 1 tablespoonful of dried oregano, then a further tablespoonful of dried thyme as well. And then add your salt and pepper to season according to your taste. And a good squirt of tomato puree to go in there as well. And give that a really good stir around. And the flavours are really beginning to come together. You just want to blitz the whole onion mixture with the mushrooms and celery with the chestnut and nut paste that we made earlier. So once you've got the whole mixture, which should feel like a paste really, then you want to spoon it onto your rolled out puff pastry or pre-bought puff pastry in my case, and split it into 2 rectangles. So you're going to spoon your mixture on one of them and you want to make a nice heap about 1 centimetre or 2 off from the edge. The second one is going to go over the top. So just keep adding water to stick it down. It's a bit like Play-Doh, okay? So you can see I'm making a couple of little splits there in the pastry, but if that happens to you, just patch over it like that. And hey presto, no one is really gonna know. You can make a little decorative pattern out of it as well, or a little picture, whatever you like. And then the final touch to this will be glazing with the egg mixture on top, okay? So I want you to paint that, but just before you do that, in order to make it look even prettier, what we're going to do is just use a fork to go around it to give it a nice extra bit of decoration. And then you just want to add in a couple of holes like that, just to let the air out and also for a bit of decoration. So once all of that is ready and looks as meticulous as mine, or not, I'm sure a lot of you can do a much neater job, then use some egg in order to brush on the top, give it a nice lovely golden crust. And you're going to put it in an oven that's been preheated at 200 degrees centigrade for 30 minutes. So there you have it, a chestnut en croute, a great alternative to meat or fish this Christmas.